My name is Vincent Caldwell. I'm 76 years old, and 3 months ago, my daughter convinced me to sign away everything I'd spent a lifetime building. Then she dropped me at Riverside Care Facility like yesterday's newspaper. The irony? She has no idea what her old man kept hidden all these years. Secrets that will flip her world upside down, starting today. This morning, I woke to the smell of bleach and institutional oatmeal. The kind of place where hope comes to die quietly. As I stared at the water-stained ceiling, my mind drifted back to that Tuesday afternoon when Rebecca showed up at my house with her lawyer boyfriend and a stack of papers. "Dad, you're getting older," she'd said, her voice dripping with false concern. "Let me handle your finances. You won't have to worry about bills or paperwork anymore. I'll take care of everything." What a fool I was. For 52 years, I worked with my hands. Started as an apprentice electrician at 16, slept in a tool shed behind the shop because I couldn't afford rent. Every wire I stripped, every circuit I wired, every building I lit up, it was all for one reason: to give my daughter the life I never had. I built Caldwell Electric from nothing. One van, one toolbox, one dream. My wife Alina and we scraped by on beans and rice so Rebecca could take piano lessons. We wore the same clothes for years so she could go to private school. Elena worked night shifts at the hospital while I took every electrical job I could find. Legal or not, Rebecca was going to be an architect. First in our family to get a degree. My pride, my purpose, my biggest mistake. 4 months after I signed those papers, Rebecca showed up with 2 orderlies, a packed suitcase, and eyes that wouldn't meet mine. "Dad, I found the perfect place for you. Clean, safe, professional staff. You'll be so much happier here." A lie. This place isn't about happiness. It's where children warehouse parents they're ashamed of. Where guilt gets a forwarding address. That first week, I barely ate. Couldn't sleep. Felt like my entire existence had been erased with a signature. Like 76 years of life meant nothing. But then something shifted. I stopped crying and started watching. Started listening. Started remembering who Vincent Caldwell really was before he became the invisible old man in room 34. Because Rebecca made one critical mistake. She assumed her father was just a tired old tradesman with calloused hands and an empty bank account. She never bothered to ask what else I might have been doing for half a century. 6 weeks ago, I had a visitor. A man in an expensive charcoal suit, carrying a leather briefcase that probably cost more than this facility charges per month. He sat across from me in the common room and opened a folder that would change everything. "Mr. Caldwell," he said quietly, "we need to discuss your holdings. The portfolio has grown substantially. You're the sole decision-maker now. Rebecca thinks she took everything. My house, my tools, my savings, my dignity. What she doesn't know, what she couldn't possibly imagine, is that her father has been playing a longer game than she ever realized. And now it's time to make my move. But this isn't about revenge. I swear on Elena's memory, I don't want to hurt my daughter. I just want her to understand something fundamental. Just because we're old doesn't mean we're powerless. Just because we're forgotten doesn't mean we're defeated. Listen to what happens next. And when it's over, tell me, what would you have done in my place? Because what you're about to hear isn't fiction. It's my life. Raw, painful, and absolutely real. To understand how we got here, you need to know who Vincent Caldwell was before he became the man nobody visits. Was born in a struggling neighborhood in South Philadelphia. My father was a dock worker who died when I was 13, crushed between 2 shipping containers when a crane operator made a mistake. Mom was left with 5 kids and no income. No pension. No safety net. Nothing. That's when I learned the hardest lesson of my life. Nobody's coming to save you. You save yourself, or you drowned out at 17. I left for Baltimore with $43 and a duffel bag. Found work at Murphy's Electric, sweeping floors and organizing wire spools. I shared a basement room with 6 other guys. We ate whatever was cheapest, crackers, canned soup, day-old bread. But I had a plan, and I was willing to suffer for it. Then I met her, Elena Rodriguez, working at her family's corner store. She had this way of laughing that made you forget you were broke and exhausted. Took me 3 years to save for a ring. Another year to convince her father I was worthy. When we got married, our apartment had 1 room, a hot plate, and dreams bigger than the ceiling could hold. I worked 7 days a week while Elena cleaned houses to bring in extra money. And somehow, we were the happiest people alive. When Rebecca was born, I held her tiny hand and made a promise. She'd never struggle like I did. She'd have education, opportunity, respect. I'd make sure of it. I opened Caldwell Electric when she was 6. Painted the sign myself with shaking hands and borrowed paint. Every dollar I earned got split 3 ways: food, savings for a real house, and Rebecca's college fund. When Elena got sick, Rebecca was 11. Ovarian cancer, stage 4, brutal and fast. I sold the commercial property we'd saved for and started working triple shifts to afford treatments that insurance wouldn't cover. Elena fought for 4 years. When she finally slipped away, I was 46 years old and felt like my chest had been hollowed out. But I kept going because of my promise. Rebecca graduated with her architecture degree. I paid every cent: tuition, books, software, rent, everything. While she studied, I survived on coffee and whatever was on sale. When she walked across that stage, I thought every sacrifice had been worth it. My daughter, the architect. My legacy. I had no idea that same daughter would one day look at me like I was a burden too heavy to carry Dot at first. Everything seemed perfect. Rebecca got hired at a prestigious firm in Boston. I told everyone who'd listen about my daughter, the architect, working on important projects, designing buildings, making her mark. I imagined her in glass-walled offices, sketching brilliant designs, becoming someone important. It made me proud, so incredibly proud, but her visits became rare. First every other week, then monthly, then months without a word. "Dad, I'm slammed with deadlines," she'd say when I called. "I'm pulling all-nighters. I barely have time to sleep." I understood. Of course I did. When you're building a career, time disappears. But those nights when I ate alone in my small kitchen, the silence felt crushing. Then she brought home Marcus. Smooth talker, expensive watch, law degree. Handsome guy, I'll give him that. But there was something in his eyes when he looked at my modest house, my worn furniture, my work-stained hands. Calculation, that's what I saw. Like he was adding up how much I was worth and finding the sum disappointing. After that first meeting with Marcus, the visits changed completely. They came out of obligation, not love. Always rushed, always with somewhere better to be. "Dad, we can't stay. Marcus has a client dinner." "Dad, we're meeting Rebecca's colleagues for brunch." "Dad, I'll call you next week." Next week turned into next month. Next month turned into silence. Their wedding was in a vineyard, one of those places you see in magazines. String lights, live orchestra, champagne towers. I wore my only suit, the same one I'd worn to Elena's funeral. They sat me at a corner table near the service entrance, far from the important guests. When Rebecca introduced me, she did it quickly, without warmth. "This is my father." No stories, no pride, just obligation. Like checking off a box. That night, I understood I'd become an embarrassment. A reminder of where she came from and what she wanted to forget. When my granddaughter was born, I thought everything might change. Little Maya, with Elena's dark eyes and gentle spirit. I thought having a child would help Rebecca remember what it means to be a parent, to sacrifice, to love unconditionally. I was wrong. Dad, she's too young for visitors. Dad, she's napping. Not a good time. Dad, maybe when she's older. Older never came. Because Marcus didn't want his daughter around a grandfather who smelled like electrical solder and spoke with a working-class accent. I didn't fit the image they were building. The phone calls became transactional. Not "How are you, Dad?" but "Can you wire my garage?" Or "Do you have cash I could borrow?" Or "I need you to design something." I always said yes, because that's what fathers do. We give even when there's nothing left to give. Then I got sick. A nasty flu that put me in bed for a week. Fever so high I couldn't think straight. Body aches like I'd been hit by a truck. I called Rebecca, hoping she might come, maybe bring soup, maybe just sit with me for an hour. "That's terrible, Dad. I've got this huge presentation tomorrow. But take care of yourself, okay? Call if it gets worse." That night, shivering under 3 blankets, delirious with fever, I realized the truth. The son who'd held my hand at Ilana's funeral no longer existed. He'd been replaced by someone who saw me as dead weight. But what neither Rebecca nor Marcus knew, what they couldn't possibly imagine, was that Vincent Caldwell had been building something they knew nothing about. Something that started decades ago when nobody was paying attention. I remember it clearly. Rebecca was in her 3rd year of architecture school. I was running my electrical business, taking whatever jobs came my way. One afternoon, a Mercedes pulled up outside my shop, engine smoking, driver panicking. The man was James Whitmore, owner of a commercial real estate development company. He'd been to 4 mechanics. Nobody could diagnose the problem. I spent 2 hours under the hood, found the issue, fixed it properly. Mr. Whitmore was stunned. "How'd you figure it out?" "Experience," I told him, "and actually caring about doing it right." "Have time for coffee?" That coffee changed my life. Mr. Whitmore wasn't just a grateful customer. He was a businessman who recognized talent, even when it came wearing oil-stained coveralls. "Mr. Caldwell, I need someone to handle electrical systems for all my properties. Residential buildings, commercial spaces, everything. I can't trust this to just anyone." He offered me a contract, triple my current income, benefits, steady work. All I had to do was close my shop and work exclusively for him. I turned him down. My shop was my identity. Every wire, every circuit box, every customer, it represented years of sacrifice, memories of Elena, proof I'd built something real. He respected that. Didn't push. Just handed me his card. "When you're ready to think bigger, call me." That became the beginning of something neither of us expected. A partnership built on mutual respect. Every time his properties needed electrical work, he called me. And every time he visited, we'd talk. About business, about family, about how success means nothing if you're alone. Slowly, without realizing it, we became more than business associates. We became friends. Years passed. Rebecca graduated and started her career. I kept working, kept charging fair prices, kept eating lunch on the tailgate of my van. Then Mr. Whitmore came to me with an idea that sounded impossible. "I want to create a network of specialty trades companies. Best electricians, best plumbers, best carpenters, all under one umbrella. You bring the expertise. I bring the capital. 50-50 partners." I hesitated. I'd never managed more than my own tools and schedule. But he showed me projections, contracts, opportunities. Finally, I agreed. That's how Whitmore Caldwell Technical Services was born. We started with 1 contract. Within 2 years, we had 12. Within 5 years, We were operating in 4 states. Then we expanded into consulting, training, commercial installations. The business became bigger than either of us imagined. But through it all, I never changed my life. Same small house, same truck, same worn work boots. I didn't need luxury. I was building this for one reason, to leave something meaningful for Rebecca. But I never told her. To her, I was still just Dad the electrician, barely scraping by. She never knew her father owned half of a company worth millions. 3 years ago, Mr. Whitmore died suddenly, heart attack, no warning. At his funeral, I learned he'd left his half of the company to me. His will stated, to the only man I trusted as much as family. Overnight, I became sole owner of a business valued at $38 million. And still, I changed nothing. No new house, no fancy car, no bragging. Because real wealth isn't about what you show, it's about what you build. When Rebecca brought me those papers to sign, claiming she needed to manage my affairs, she thought she was taking control of everything I had, my house, my savings, my tools, my dignity. I let her think that. I signed where she pointed. I nodded when she explained how this was for my own good. What she didn't know was that everything she took was just the surface. The real fortune remained hidden in accounts she never knew existed, under a corporate structure she never bothered to investigate. Last month, the company's attorney, Mr. Harrison, came to see me here at Riverside. Tall man, impeccable suit, serious expression. He sat across from me with a briefcase full of documents. Mr. Caldwell, we need decisions. The company continues growing. You're the sole owner. What do you want to do? And that's when the plan crystallized. That's when I understood exactly what needed to happen. Rebecca was about to learn that her father wasn't a helpless old man. He was someone who'd been playing a much longer game than she'd ever realized. And when the truth came out, she'd regret every cold shoulder, every missed visit, every time she treated me like I didn't matter. I didn't have to wait long to see the plan take effect. 3 days after Mr. Harrison's visit, Rebecca showed up at Riverside. First time she'd visited since dropping me off here. She arrived with flowers and a box of almond cookies, my favorite, though she hadn't remembered that in years. Her smile looked rehearsed, like she'd practiced it in the mirror. Dad, how are you? I brought these for you. I know you love them. I sat in my chair, back straight, and looked directly at her. Didn't speak immediately, just observed. She fidgeted with her purse, suddenly uncertain what to do with her hands. To what do I owe this unexpected visit? I asked calmly. What do you mean? I wanted to see you. I've been thinking about you. For 3 months, you didn't think about me once. Now suddenly, I'm on your mind? She settled into the chair beside my bed, clearly uncomfortable. I miss you, Dad. Marcus and I both do. We've been talking about you a lot lately. Started asking questions she'd never cared about before. How's the food here? Are they treating you well? Do you need anything? Is the staff respectful? Every word sounded scripted, hollow. I'm fine, Rebecca. They feed me. I have a bed. What more could an old man need? I lied, of course. This place was depressing as hell. But I wasn't giving her the satisfaction of knowing how I really felt. Dad, Marcus and I have been discussing your situation. We think you're really important to us. It hurts seeing you here. Important? The woman who hadn't called in months suddenly finds me important? How's Maya? I asked, testing the waters. She's great. Growing so fast. Actually, she asks about you all the time. Wants to meet her grandpa. Another lie. That child had never been told she had a grandfather. They'd made sure of that. That afternoon, Rebecca stayed for 2 hours. Longer than she'd stayed anywhere near me in years. She reminisced about childhood moments she'd never mentioned before, asked about my health, talked about how much she valued family. Everything sounded perfect. Too perfect. The following Sunday, she came back. This time she brought Marcus, the same man who'd looked at me like I was a stain on their social standing. Now he arrived with a gift basket and a politician's smile. "Mr. Caldwell, good to see you. You're looking well." The other residents actually turned to stare. My daughter barely visited. Now suddenly she shows up with her husband bearing gifts? They could smell something was wrong. "Dad," Rebecca said, voice carefully casual, "we've been thinking. Maybe this facility isn't the best fit for you. We'd like to move you somewhere nicer. Better meals, private rooms, more activities." There it was. The hook. "Since when do you care about my comfort?" I asked, voice neutral, but eyes sharp. "We've always cared, Dad. Now that we're in a better financial position, we can afford proper care for you. But son, you already have everything I owned. I signed it all over. What more could there possibly be to pay for?" "Don't worry about money, Dad," Marcus interjected smoothly. "We'll handle everything. We just want you to be happy and comfortable. And you want me to spend time with Maya too, right? After years of keeping her away from me?" "Exactly." Rebecca said too quickly. "She really wants to know you. She keeps asking when Grandpa's coming to visit." Of course. The cookies, the flowers, the sudden visits, the granddaughter, it was all strategy. They were fishing, trying to figure out if I had anything else they hadn't taken. And they weren't entirely wrong. Only problem was, they had no idea how much that anything else actually was. Over the next few weeks, the visits became routine. Every Sunday, like clockwork. They brought magazines, snacks, new blankets, all the things they should have done years ago, but couldn't be bothered with. One afternoon, Marcus casually mentioned, "By the way, Mr. Caldwell, I was reviewing your paperwork, just making sure everything's properly documented. You don't have any other accounts we should know about? Sometimes people forget about old savings bonds, insurance policies, that sort of thing." There it was. The real question wrapped in false concern. "No, Marcus. Everything I had, Rebecca already manages. The house, the shop, my accounts. You know all of it. You're absolutely sure? Sometimes documents get misplaced. Property deeds, business papers, anything like that?" "I'm sure. I have no secrets." But he didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes, the way he kept glancing around my room, studying my knitstand, looking for evidence of something hidden. They were sniffing around like bloodhounds. One evening, after they thought I'd fallen asleep with the TV on, I overheard them talking in the hallway. "The walls here are paper thin. Are you certain he doesn't have money hidden somewhere?" Marcus whispered urgently. "He has to," Rebecca hissed back. "My contact at the bank said there have been transactions under Vincent Caldwell's name. Accounts I don't control. But he keeps saying he has nothing. Then he's lying. Keep pushing. Show more affection. Bring Maya. Make him feel guilty. If there's money, he'll eventually tell us." Eventually turned into the dagger that pierced whatever remained of my heart. My daughter hadn't come to reconnect. She'd come to rob me blind. The next day, they returned with Maya, a 9-year-old girl with dark curls and uncertain eyes. They presented her like a trophy. "Look, Maya," Rebecca said with false enthusiasm. "This is your grandfather. Remember I told you about him?" The girl looked at me without malice, without agenda. Just pure, innocent curiosity. "Hi, Grandpa. Daddy says you used to fix things. Is that true?" "That's right, sweetheart. I fixed things my whole life. Can you teach me?" For the first time in months, my smile was genuine. "I'd love to." We sat together for an hour. I showed her some old electrical components I'd kept, explained how circuits work, taught her to identify different types of wires. She listened with complete focus, asking questions that showed real intelligence. Meanwhile, Rebecca and Marcus searched my room, not even subtly, opening drawers, checking under the bed, looking through papers. Right in front of me. "Dad, do you keep any important documents here? Contracts, deeds, anything we should put in a safe place?" "No, Rebecca. Just my clothes and medication." "What about before you came here? Any storage units? Safety deposit boxes?" "Nothing." The girl stopped playing and looked at her parents with that brutal honesty only children possess. "Why are you looking through Grandpa's stuff?" "I thought we came to visit him." Marcus froze. Rebecca's face went pale. "We're just helping him organize, honey," Rebecca said quickly, voice strained. "But you're not even talking to him," Maya insisted. "That's not a visit. That's searching. Out of the mouths of babes." I felt a lump form in my throat, not from anger, but from the clarity of innocence. This child saw what her parents refused to acknowledge. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from sadness this time, but from cold determination. I sat on my bed, took several deep breaths, and made my final decision. Enough was enough. The next morning, I called Mr. Harrison. He answered immediately. "Mr. Caldwell, how can I help?" "I've made up my mind. I need you here as soon as possible. It's time." 2 hours later, he sat across from me with folders spread across my small table. "Mr. Caldwell, tell me exactly what you've decided." My voice was steady, clear. "I want the $38 million divided into 3 parts. He pulled out his pen, ready to document everything. First part, establish a care facility for seniors. A real one, where people are treated with dignity, not warehoused like broken furniture. Where families don't dump their parents and forget them. I want this place to show what elder care should actually look like." Mr. Harrison nodded, writing quickly. Second part, create a scholarship fund in Elena's name. For kids from working-class families who want to study trades or technical fields. Electricians, plumbers, carpenters, welders, the people who build the world with their hands. Kids whose parents sacrifice everything but can't afford tuition. I want to change their lives the way education changed Rebecca's. And the third part? For Maya, but not directly. Create a trust she can't access until she's 25. Neither Rebecca nor Marcus can touch it. Not a single dollar. When Maya's old enough to understand, she'll have resources to study, to travel, to build whatever life she wants, without depending on parents who measure love in dollar signs. And for Rebecca, my jaw tightened. Nothing. Mr. Caldwell, she already took everything she wanted. She took my home, my dignity, my peace. She exiled me here and visited only when she thought there was more to take. She gets nothing now. You understand this is final? Once these documents are executed, I understand perfectly. She made her choices. Now I'm making mine. Do you want this implemented immediately? No. Activate everything after I'm gone. But before that happens, I want something else. What's that? I want the truth documented. Hire a private investigator. I want to know exactly what Rebecca and Marcus have been doing. Their debts, their lies, their schemes. I want evidence. And what will you do with that information? Give it to her in a letter. A letter explaining everything. What she lost. Why she lost it. What her father actually was before she decided he was worthless. Mr. Harrison looked at me with something between admiration and sorrow. "Mr. Caldwell, what you're planning is brilliant and heartbreaking. I've already experienced all the heartbreak I can handle. Now I'm choosing justice." The plan was set in motion immediately. Mr. Harrison hired an investigator named Claire Rodriguez. Professional, discreet, thorough. Within 3 weeks, she delivered a file that made everything clear. She sat across from me in the facility's small meeting room, laying out documents like evidence in a courtroom. "Mr. Caldwell," she began carefully, "your daughter and her husband are in serious financial trouble." "How serious?" "Marcus has been gambling. Sports betting, online poker, offshore casinos. He's lost over $300,000 in the past 18 months. My stomach turned. They've remortgaged the house twice. The second mortgage was funded partially with money from your accounts, the ones Rebecca controls. Your money," she continued, each revelation worse than the last. "Marcus had invested in cryptocurrency schemes that collapsed. Rebecca had borrowed from loan sharks to cover his losses. They'd lied to family, friends, colleagues. They're drowning," Claire said bluntly. "And they thought you were their life raft. How did they even know to look for more money? Marcus has a contact at one of the banks. Someone mentioned seeing transactions under your name, accounts they didn't recognize. That's when they started the sudden visits. Everything clicked into place. The flowers, the cookies, the fake concern, bringing Maya, all of it was a desperate fishing expedition. What do you want to do with this information?" Claire asked. "I want it compiled into a report. Professional, detailed, irrefutable. I want her to see exactly who she married, what her choices led to, and what she sacrificed for money that was never really there." 2 days later, Mr. Harrison returned with a sealed envelope. "The letter is ready. Do you want to read it first?" "No, read it to me. I want to hear how it sounds." He opened the envelope, cleared his throat, and began. "Rebecca, by the time you read this, you'll know everything. Your desperate visits, your sudden affection, your searches through my room. I saw it all. I understood exactly what you were doing. What you didn't know is that your father wasn't a helpless old electrician with nothing left. I owned a company valued at $38 million. A company I built with James Whitmore through decades of hard work and integrity. That fortune could have been yours. It should have been yours. But you chose a different path. You chose to exile me, to treat me like garbage, to visit only when you thought there was something left to take. You chose Marcus over honesty. You chose greed over family. So I made a choice too. I've donated the entire fortune to causes that matter. A care facility where seniors are treated with dignity. Scholarships in your mother's name for hard-working kids who deserve opportunities. And a trust for Maya that you cannot touch because she deserves better than parents who measure love in transactions. You will receive nothing. Not because I don't love you, but because you proved love means nothing to you. You taught me that family is only valuable when it's profitable. So I invested in a different kind of family. One built on gratitude instead of entitlement. Learn from this, Rebecca. Money doesn't change people. It reveals who they always were. And you revealed yourself completely. Goodbye, Vincent Caldwell." When he finished, silence filled the room. Only the hum of fluorescent lights remained. "Mr. Caldwell?" Mr. Harrison said gently. "Are you absolutely certain?" "As certain as the day I held her as a baby and promised to give her everything. When do you want this delivered?" 2 days from now. Send it to their home. Certified mail. I want her to sign for it. That was the hardest decision I've ever made. Harder than leaving Philadelphia at 17. Harder than watching Elena die. Harder than signing away my home. But it was also the most necessary. 2 days later, on a Thursday afternoon, the letter was delivered. I knew because at 9:47 p.m., my phone rang. A number I recognized immediately. I answered without speaking. "Dad." Rebecca's voice was barely a whisper. Then louder, angrier. What the hell does this letter mean? It means exactly what it says. You can't be serious. 38 million? You? That's impossible. I assure you it's very real. Dad, listen to me. I love you. We can fix this. Whatever you think happened, I don't think anything, Rebecca. I know. I have documentation of every lie, every debt, every manipulation. Silence. Dad, please. Her voice cracked. We're in trouble. Real trouble. Marcus made mistakes, but we can fix this if I just what, Rebecca? Give you money you planned to steal anyway? That's not fair. We came to see you because we care. You came because you smelled money. Don't insult both of us by pretending otherwise. Dad, they're going to take the house. Maya will have nowhere to live. Is that what you want? Your granddaughter homeless? The guilt card. Of course. Maya has a trust fund that will be available when she's old enough to make her own decisions. She'd be fine. As for you and Marcus, you created this situation. Now you'll deal with the consequences. But there is no but, Rebecca. I gave you everything once. My time, my money, my love, my dignity. You responded by treating me like garbage. You don't get a second chance to pretend you care. Dad, listen. We made mistakes, but you can't just, I can. And I have? Goodbye, Rebecca. I hung up. The phone rang 17 more times that night. I didn't answer. Eventually, the calls stopped. The silence that followed was strange. Not peaceful exactly, but settled. Like a storm finally passing. The next morning, I woke up feeling lighter than I had in years. For the first time since being dumped in this place, I actually smiled during breakfast. Mrs. Patterson, who sat at my usual table, noticed immediately. Vincent, you look different today. Like a weight lifted. Maybe it did, I said quietly. Good for you. Most of us here never get closure. We just fade. I'm not fading, Margaret. Not yet. Over the following weeks, life took on a new rhythm. The Vincent Caldwell Care Foundation officially opened its first location right here at Riverside. We bought the building, renovated completely, hired compassionate staff, and transformed it from a warehouse for the forgotten into an actual home. Residents, who'd been staring at walls for years, suddenly had activities. Art classes, music therapy, gardening, technology workshops taught by local college students. The place came alive. Mr. Chun, who hadn't spoken to anyone in 8 months, started teaching Tai Chi. Mrs. Lopez, former teacher, began reading to groups every afternoon. Even grumpy old Mr. Kowalski found purpose organizing a chess club. People who'd been waiting to die started living again. A scholarship program launched simultaneously. The Elena Caldwell Technical Education Fund began accepting applications. The response overwhelmed us. Hundreds of applications flooded in from kids across the country. Kids whose parents worked 3 jobs. Kids who dreamed of becoming electricians, plumbers, mechanics, welders, but couldn't afford training programs. The first recipient was a young man named Carlos. 19 years old, skinny, with eyes that held both exhaustion and determination. His mother cleaned office buildings at night. Father disappeared when he was 6. Carlos wanted to study electrical engineering, but was working at a fast food place trying to save money. He'd never accumulate fast enough. The scholarship covered everything. Tuition, tools, books, housing, food, everything. When he came to meet me, he actually cried. Mr. Caldwell, my mom, she hasn't stopped crying for 2 days. She says you're an angel, that you changed our lives. I'm no angel, Carlos. Just someone who understands what you're carrying. Why did you help me? You don't even know me. Because I was you. Because I know what it's like to have dreams bigger than your bank account. Because your mother is working herself to death, trying to give you opportunities she never had. Because I see myself in your story. Carlos started visiting weekly. He'd tell me about his classes, show me projects he was working on, ask advice about circuits and electrical theory. His humility, his hunger to learn, his gratitude, it reminded me of who Rebecca used to be. Before ambition consumed her. The program grew rapidly. Within months, we had 30 scholarship recipients. Students from all backgrounds, all circumstances, but united by one thing: they came from struggle and refused to let it define their future. Each one wrote monthly letters, some short, some pages long, but all overflowing with gratitude. They called me Uncle Vincent, abuelo, mentor, friend. One repeated phrase appeared in nearly every letter: thank you. Meanwhile, Maya's trust fund grew steadily. By the time she turned 25, she'd have enough to pursue any dream without depending on parents whose values had become toxic. But the hardest part, the part that still haunted me, was that I never saw her again. One afternoon, while having coffee in the facility's new garden, a beautiful space with fruit trees and stone paths, Mrs. Patterson asked me the question I'd been avoiding. "Vincent, do you miss her? Your granddaughter?" My chest tightened. "Every day, Margaret. Every single day." "Then why not reach out?" "Because if I open that door, Rebecca and Marcus will use her. They'll make her a bargaining chip. She become a weapon instead of a child. I won't let that happen." "So you sacrifice the relationship to protect her?" "I sacrifice my happiness to preserve her innocence. When she's older, when she understands the whole story, she can decide if she wants to know me. But it has to be her choice, not her parents' manipulation." Mrs. Patterson reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You have more courage than most people I've known." "It's not courage. It's survival." That night, I sat in my room staring at a drawing I'd kept hidden in my drawer. A crude crayon picture Maya had made during that single visit. 2 stick figures, one tall, one small, holding hands. Above it she'd written in wobbly letters, "Grandpa teaches me things." Below was a heart. I traced the heart with my finger, feeling tears I'd been holding back for weeks. "I'm sorry, Maya," I whispered to the empty room. "I hope someday you'll understand." The weeks turned into months. 6 months since I'd made my decision. 6 months since I'd stopped waiting for Rebecca to become the daughter I once knew. Life at the care facility became routine, but not in a depressing way. Every morning I woke without dread, got dressed without feeling invisible, went to breakfast surrounded by people who treated each other with dignity. The scholarship students continued visiting. Carlos brought his mother once. She hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe, thanking me through tears in Spanish. I didn't need translation. Gratitude sounds the same in every language. A young woman named Jasmine started coming too. 21, studying to be a master plumber. First woman in her family to attend any kind of technical school. She told me about fighting gender stereotypes, proving she could handle physical work just as well as men, dreaming of opening her own business someday. "Mr. Caldwell," she said one afternoon while we sat in the garden, "why did you choose to help people like us instead of keeping the money for family?" I considered the question carefully. "Because you are family, Jasmine. Not by blood, but by something more important. You remind me why I worked so hard in the first place. To create opportunities. To change lives. To prove that circumstances don't define destiny. Your daughter? Does she know what she lost?" "She knows. Whether she understands is a different question." Around that same time, Mr. Harrison brought news I'd been half expecting. Mr. Caldwell, Rebecca, and Marcus filed for bankruptcy. The house is gone. They're living in a rented apartment. Marcus lost his law license due to ethical violations related to gambling debts. I felt no satisfaction hearing about Rebecca's collapse. No vindication. Just emptiness. "How's Maya?" I asked quietly. "Living with Sarah's parents. Rebecca sees her on weekends. At least the child was safe. That mattered more than anything." "There's something else," Mr. Harrison said carefully. "Rebecca sent you a letter. It arrived at my office. Do you want me to read it?" I hesitated. Part of me wanted to refuse, to keep that door closed forever. But another part, the part that remembered holding her as a baby, needed to know. "Read it." He opened the envelope slowly. "Dad, I don't know if you'll even read this. I don't know if I deserve for you to read it. But I'm writing anyway because I have nothing left except the truth. Everything fell apart. Marcus is gone. Not just physically, but from my life. The gambling, the lies, the debts. I couldn't do it anymore. We lost the house. Lost everything we pretended to have. I'm living in a 2-bedroom apartment with furniture from thrift stores. I work as a drafting assistant at a small firm. It's humiliating after everything I built, but it's honest work. Maya asks about you constantly. She remembers that day you taught her about electrical wires. She keeps the drawing she made. She tells her friends her grandpa is a genius who fixes things nobody else can fix. I never told you this, but when I was 8, I got lost at the county fair. I was terrified, crying, convinced I'd never find you. Then I saw you running through the crowd, face panicked, searching desperately. When you found me, you didn't yell. You just held me so tight I could feel your heart pounding. You said, "I'll always find you, Rebecca. Always." But I got lost again, didn't I? Not physically this time. I got lost in ambition, in status, in Marcus's promises of a better life. I got so lost I couldn't see what I was destroying. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand what you are trying to teach me. That love isn't measured in dollars. That dignity matters more than status. That family is about showing up, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's hard. I failed you. I failed myself. I failed Maya. I hope the work you're doing, the care home, the scholarships, brings you peace. You always deserved peace. I love you, Dad. I always did. I just forgot how to show it. Rebecca's silence filled the room after Mr. Harrison finished reading. He folded the letter carefully and looked at me. "What do you want to do?" I sat there for a long moment, feeling emotions I tried to bury. Anger, sadness, love, grief, all tangled together like wires too damaged to separate. "I don't know," I finally said. Part of me wants to respond. Part of me knows responding won't change anything. May I offer my opinion? Please. Forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation. You can forgive her without letting her back into your life. You can acknowledge her pain without shouldering it yourself. He was right. But knowing what's right doesn't make it easier. That night, I wrote a response. Not to send, just to process my own feelings. "Rebecca, I received your letter. I read every word, and I believe you mean them. But meaning them now doesn't erase the years of neglect. It doesn't heal the abandonment. It doesn't undo the damage. I forgive you because holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. But forgiveness doesn't mean reset. It means release. I release you from the burden of my expectations. I release myself from the pain of your choices. You have your life now. I have mine. Maybe someday, when enough time has passed, we can find a way forward. But that day isn't today. Take care of Maya. Give her the love you couldn't give me. Break the cycle. That's all I ask. Vincent, I never sent it. I folded it carefully and placed it in my drawer next to Maya's drawing and Elena's wedding ring. The three things I kept closest to my heart. Even when they hurt to hold Dot, the months continued passing. The care facility expanded to a second location in rural Pennsylvania. The scholarship program grew to 80 students. One afternoon, a young man named James arrived. 20 years old, studying to be a welder. His story hit differently because it mirrored mine almost exactly. Father died in an industrial accident when he was 13. Mother working multiple jobs. Dreams bigger than his circumstances. He even had the same hungry look I'd carried at his age. We bonded immediately. He reminded me of the kid I used to be, broke, determined, willing to sacrifice everything for a chance. "Mr. Caldwell," he said during one visit, "my mom wants to meet you. She says anyone who helps her son deserves her gratitude in person. You don't have to. She insists. Please." The following week, a small woman with tired eyes and calloused hands arrived. She walked straight to me and hugged me the way Elena used to hug me after long days. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for seeing my boy, for believing in him. Ma'am, your son's talent is his own. I just removed obstacles. You gave him hope. That's more valuable than money." We sat together for an hour. She told me about working night shifts, about fearing she'd never give James opportunities, about praying for miracles she didn't believe would come. "You were my miracle," she said simply. After she left, I sat in the garden crying. Not from sadness, but from understanding something profound. This is what family was supposed to feel like. Unconditional, grateful, present. Rebecca could have been part of this. She could have watched these transformations happen. Instead, she chose a different path. And I'd made peace with that Dot around this time. Mr. Harrison brought news that surprised me. "Mr. Caldwell, Rebecca has been trying to contact me. She wants to know if she can visit you. Not to ask for anything. Just to see you?" My heart lurched. "What did you tell her?" "Nothing yet. I wanted your permission first." I thought about it for days. Weighed every possibility. Every risk. Every potential outcome. Finally, I made my decision. Tell her not yet. Tell her when Maya turns 18. If Maya wants to meet me, I'll be here. But until then, the door stays closed. "Are you sure?" "No, but it's the right answer." Mr. Harrison nodded slowly. "You're protecting yourself." "I'm protecting everyone, including her." That night, Mrs. Patterson found me sitting alone in the dark common room. "Vincent, you okay?" "Just thinking about roads not taken." "The one with your daughter?" "Yeah." "Do you regret your decision?" I considered the question honestly. I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret making it. She sat beside me in comfortable silence. After a while, she said, "You know what I admire about you? You chose yourself. Most people our age never do that. We spend our whole lives being what others need. You finally said, 'What about me?' Is that admirable or selfish?" "Both, and that's okay." Simple words, but they settled something in my chest that had been unsettled for months. The next morning, Carlos arrived with huge news. "Mr. Caldwell, I got an apprenticeship. A real one, with benefits and everything." I stood up slowly, because my knees don't work like they used to, and hugged him. "That's incredible, son. It's because of you." "Everything is because of you." "No, it's because you worked hard. I just opened a door. You opened everything." Watching these young people succeed felt like watching Rebecca's childhood dreams come true, except this time. The gratitude wasn't fake. The love wasn't conditional. The relationship wasn't transactional. This was what legacy actually meant. Not blood, but impact. Not inheritance, but transformation. 7 months after I made my decision, something unexpected arrived in the mail. A small package with careful handwriting I didn't recognize. Inside was a handmade card in a USB drive. The card read, "Dear Grandpa Vincent, my name is Maya. I'm 9 now. Mom says I can't see you, but she doesn't know I found your address from Grandma Sarah. I made you something. I hope you like it. I miss you even though I only met you once. Love, Maya." My hands shook as I held the card. I took the USB drive to the facility's computer room and plugged it in with trembling fingers. It was a video. Maya sitting in what looked like her bedroom, speaking directly to the camera. "Hi, Grandpa. Mom doesn't know I'm making this. I'm using my friend's phone because mine doesn't have enough space. I wanted to show you something." She held up the drawing she'd made that day in my room, the one with 2 stick figures holding hands. "I kept this because it reminds me of you. You were nice to me. You didn't talk to me like I was a baby. You taught me real things." She paused, looking down at her hands. "Mom cries a lot now. She doesn't tell me why, but I hear her at night. Dad doesn't live with us anymore. We moved to a smaller place. But I have my own room, and Grandma and Grandpa are nice." Then she looked directly at the camera with those eyes that were so much like Elena's. "I don't understand why you don't come visit. Mom says you're sick, but I think maybe you're mad. And if you're mad, I'm sorry. I don't know what we did, but I'm sorry." My vision blurred with tears. "I hope you feel better soon. I want to show you more things I learned. I've been reading books about electricity because of what you taught me. Did you know Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity with a kite? That's so cool." She smiled, and my heart broke and mended simultaneously. "Anyway, I just wanted you to know I remember you. And I think about you. And I hope maybe someday I can see you again. Bye, Grandpa." The video ended. I sat there staring at the blank screen, crying harder than I had since Elena died. This wasn't Rebecca manipulating me. This was a child who genuinely missed someone who'd shown her kindness. Mrs. Patterson found me there 20 minutes later, still sitting in the dark. "Vincent? What happened?" I couldn't speak. I just replayed the video. When it ended, she wiped her own eyes and said, "That child loves you. Really loves you. I know. So what are you going to do?" "I don't know. If I respond, Rebecca will use it. If I don't, Maya thinks I don't care. Maybe there's a middle path. Maybe you can love Maya without giving Rebecca access." She was right, but finding that path felt impossible. I spent 3 days thinking about nothing else. Finally, I called Mr. Harrison. "I need you to set up a trust amendment. I want Maya to receive letters from me, one on every birthday starting now until she turns 18. Letters she can't open until she's old enough to understand the full story. Can you do that?" "Absolutely." "What will the letters say?" "The truth. My story. Why things happened the way they did. What I want her to know about love, family, dignity. Everything I wish I could tell her in person, but can't." Over the next week, I wrote 9 letters, one for each birthday from 9 to 18. Each letter age-appropriate but honest. The letter for her 10th birthday explained how sometimes adults make mistakes and children get caught in the middle. The letter for her 13th explained how I'd been hurt and why I had to protect myself. The letter for her 16th explained the whole story: Rebecca's betrayal, my decision, the foundation. Everything. And the letter for her 18th birthday simply said, "If you want to meet me, I'm here. If you don't, I understand. Either way, I've loved you since the moment you were born. Your choice now. Love, Grandpa Vincent." Mr. Harrison arranged everything. The letters would be held in trust and delivered each year on Maya's Birthday, Rebecca wouldn't know they existed until Maya was old. Enough to share them or not, by choice. It wasn't perfect, but it was the best I could do. That night, I finally slept peacefully. The following months brought changes I hadn't anticipated. The care facility network expanded to 5 locations. The scholarship program grew to over 100 students. We started a mentorship program where recipients could connect with industry professionals. But more importantly, the students started creating their own community. They organized study groups, supported each other through tough times, celebrated each other's successes. Carlos graduated top of his class and immediately got hired by a major electrical contracting company. Jasmine started her own plumbing business with 3 employees. James got accepted into an advanced welding certification program. Each success felt personal. Each achievement felt like proof that my decision had been right. One afternoon, a woman arrived asking to see me mid-40s. Professional clothes, kind eyes, she introduced herself as Jennifer Martinez, Mr. Caldwell. I'm a documentary filmmaker. I've been following the scholarship program and the care facilities. I'd like to tell your story. My story isn't interesting. With respect, sir, you're wrong. Your story is about resilience, forgiveness, and choosing purpose over bitterness. That's incredibly interesting. I didn't do this to be famous. I know. That's exactly why your story matters. Can we talk? Just talk. No cameras, no commitment. Just conversation. Something about her sincerity made me agree. We spent 3 hours talking. I told her everything my childhood. Elena, Rebecca, the betrayal, the decision, the foundation. She listened without interrupting, taking notes, asking thoughtful questions. When I finished, she said, "Mr. Caldwell, this isn't just your story. It's a story about what we owe each other as humans, about dignity in aging, about the choice between revenge and redemption. This needs to be told. Why? Because there are thousands of elderly people warehoused in facilities right now, feeling invisible and worthless. And there are thousands of young people who need to know that one person's belief can change everything. Your story gives both groups hope." I thought about it for a week, finally agreed. But with conditions. No filming Rebecca, no contact with Maya, focus on the work, not the drama. She agreed over the next 3 months. Jennifer and her small crew documented everything: the care facilities, the scholarship students, the daily routines, the transformations. They interviewed Carlos, Jasmine, James, and dozens of others. Each told their story of struggle and hope. Each credited the foundation with changing their trajectory. The documentary premiered at a small film festival 6 months later. I didn't attend, too much attention. Too overwhelming. But Jennifer sent me the audience reaction. Video, people cried. Standing ovation, multiple distribution companies wanted to buy it within weeks. It was streaming on a major platform. Suddenly, my quiet foundation became national news. Donations poured in, volunteers applied. Other communities requested new facilities. The scholarship program received over 10,000 applications in 1 month. Carlos called me, excited. "Mr. Caldwell, you're famous. Everyone's talking about it." I didn't want famous. I know. But think about what this means. More seniors will be treated with dignity. More kids like me will get opportunities. Your story is changing the system. He was right, but fame felt uncomfortable. I was just an old electrician who'd made a choice. Nothing heroic about it. 2 weeks after the documentary released, something unexpected happened. Mr. Harrison arrived looking serious. "Mr. Caldwell, Rebecca's been trying to reach you. She saw the documentary." My chest tightened. "And she wants to apologize publicly. She says she wants to make amends." Amends? Now? When there are cameras? I thought the same thing, but I also thought you should know. I felt anger rising. Of course, she wanted to apologize now. Now that the story was public. Now that there was attention. Not when it mattered. Not when it was just between us. Tell her no. Tell her when she's ready to apologize privately, without cameras or audiences. She knows where to find me. Are you sure? Absolutely. Mr. Harrison nodded. For what it's worth. I think that's wise. The documentary continued gaining traction. Media outlets requested interviews. I declined all of them. The work spoke for itself. I didn't need to explain it. 8 months after the documentary released, life found a new rhythm. The foundation operated smoothly with a dedicated staff. The scholarship program was changing lives daily. The care facilities were models other organizations studied and replicated. I'd become something I never intended, a symbol. People saw my story and found courage to make their own difficult choices, to set boundaries, to demand dignity, to choose themselves. Letters arrived daily, from elderly people finding hope, from estranged children seeking reconciliation, from young people thanking me for opportunities. Each one I read carefully, responding to as many as possible. One letter arrived that made my hands shake. The return address read, Maya Caldwell. I opened it carefully, heart pounding. Dear Grandpa Vincent, I just turned 10. Mom gave me a letter that came from your lawyer. She didn't want to, but Grandma Sarah made her. I read it 3 times. You explained why you can't see me right now. I don't totally understand everything, but I understand enough. I understand you got hurt. I understand you're protecting yourself. I understand it's not because you don't love me. Thank you for the letter. Thank you for not forgetting me. I'm going to keep all your letters in a special box. And when I turn 18, I'm going to come find you. If that's okay. Is that okay? I hope you're not too sick. I hope you're happy. I hope you know I love you, even though I don't really know you. Love, Maya. I held that letter against my chest and cried. Not from sadness this time. From gratitude. From relief. From knowing that somehow, despite everything, love had found a way through. I wrote back immediately. Through Mr. Harrison. Kept it appropriate, but told her, yes, Maya, when you're 18, if you still want to meet me, I'll be here. That's more than okay. That's everything. Love, Grandpa. Life continued its forward march. Carlos got married and asked me to attend. I sat in the front row, crying through the ceremony like he was my own grandson. Jasmine's business won a major city contract. She dedicated the success to the man who believed in me when nobody else did. James completed his certification and started teaching welding to at-risk youth. Paying it forward, he called it. The cycle continued. Hope multiplied. Impact rippled outward. Then one afternoon, nearly a year after everything changed, Mr. Harrison arrived with news I'd been half expecting. Mr. Caldwell, Rebecca has been attending therapy. Real therapy. She's working through everything that happened. She's not asking to see you. She just wanted you to know. Why tell me? Because she asked me to? Said she knows she doesn't deserve your forgiveness, but wanted you to know she's trying to become someone worthy of it. I sat with that information for a long time. Finally asked, do you think she's sincere? I think people can change. Whether they do is another question. But the effort itself means something. He was right. The effort did mean something. Not enough to undo everything, but something. 2 weeks later, another unexpected visitor arrived. A man in his 60s, dressed casually, carrying a worn briefcase. Mr. Caldwell? My name is Robert Chun. I'm a senior care policy advisor for the state. I've been following your foundation's work. Nice to meet you. Mr. Caldwell, your facilities have become the benchmark. We're proposing new legislation that would mandate minimum care standards based on your model. We'd like your input on the policy framework. My work, a simple electrician's attempt at dignity, was influencing state law. Elena would have been proud. Over the following months, I consulted on the legislation, testified before committees, shared what worked and why. The bill passed unanimously. The governor called to thank me personally. Mr. Caldwell, you've changed how our state treats its elderly population. Thank you. I just wanted people to stop feeling invisible, I said quietly. Mission accomplished. On my 77th birthday, the scholarship students threw me a surprise party. Over 60 of them showed up, past and current recipients. They'd pooled money to buy me a custom tool belt engraved with Builder of Dreams. Carlos gave a speech that destroyed me emotionally. This man gave me more than money. He gave me proof that my life mattered, that my dreams were valid, that someone believed in me. Because of him, I'm an electrician. Because of him, I'm a homeowner. Because of him, I'm someone my kids will be proud of. Mr. Caldwell didn't just change my life. He changed my bloodline. I couldn't speak, could barely breathe through the emotion. These young people, my real family, had given me something Rebecca's biological connection never could. Authentic love. That night, lying in bed, I thought about the journey. The pain, the betrayal, the choice, the transformation. Would I do it differently if I could go back? No, because the pain led here. To purpose. To community. To impact that would outlive me. Rebecca's betrayal wasn't the end of my story. It was the catalyst for its most meaningful chapter. 3 months ago, Maya turned 12. She sent me a photo of her at a science fair, holding a project about electrical circuits. The caption read, "First place. Thinking of you, Grandpa." 6 more years until she turns 18. 6 more years until I might meet her again as someone who chooses me, not someone obligated to me. I can wait. I've learned patience. I've learned that love doesn't die just because contact does. That family is built through choice as much as blood. Today, at 77 years old, I wake up with purpose. The care facilities are thriving. The scholarship program is expanding nationally. Young people are building careers and lives they thought impossible. Elderly people are being treated with dignity they thought lost forever. This isn't just my legacy. It's our collective refusal to accept that life's final chapters have to be written in loneliness. So if you're listening to this story and you have parents still living, go hug them. Call them. Visit them. Tell them you love them while they can hear it. Don't wait until guilt is all that remains. And if you're a parent feeling forgotten, remember this. You're not powerless. Your story isn't over. You can still make choices that matter. I chose dignity over bitterness, purpose over revenge, impact over inheritance. And honestly, I've never been happier. Rebecca lost a fortune, but she might still find something more valuable herself. That's her journey now. Maya will make her choice in 6 years. Whatever she decides, I'll respect it. As for me, I'll keep doing this work. Keep building community. Keep proving that age doesn't mean irrelevance. That being forgotten doesn't mean being defeated. The story people thought was an ending. It was actually the beginning. My name is Vincent Caldwell. I'm 77 years old. And I finally understand what Elena meant when she said, "True wealth is who shows up when you have nothing left to give." These students, these seniors, this community, they showed up. That's everything. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. What would you have done in my position? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story moved you, consider sharing it. Not for me, But for the elderly person in your life who might be feeling invisible right now, show them they matter before it's too late.